Hello and welcome to the Full Distance Fall 500-mile race at Charlotte in NASCAR 2004 with mods brought to you by Andrew Fayosh, XI Racing Pro.
That was pretty good. I'm gonna keep that in there. Yeah, I filmed like a whole 5 minute ass intro on this. I'm not gonna do it again. Andrew
And then
Fash,
fucked it up.
yeah, yeah, and fucked it up because I didn't have the right car selected.
I got to do
Yeah,
that.
Andrew Fash and his buds started modding Thunder 04 on PS2. Yes, it includes driver stats, adding new drivers, changing names, adding custom artwork. It's fucking fantastic. Along with a 60 FPS patch. The car set he uses is from NCRD with a couple of additional skins brought over from NASCAR Sim Racing. It's basically an opponent manager tool, so you can go out and pick the exact car liveries you want to run against, who shows up as a full-time or part-time driver. It's great. So we're running the Fall Charlotte race. Cool, I did it. That kept it under 30 seconds. We're going to drive as Jimmy today. This race had the Hendrick cars in chrome liveries and all the RCR cars in throwback liveries. It'll be really cool. So off we go. UAW-GM Quality 500, 334 laps, night race. It's a race that was run today, just how it used to be. The Roval didn't exist yet, but it exists in this game. This game had a lot of like unlockable bonus tracks, like I think the Texas Infield Road Course, Daytona Road. It was all fantasy layouts, but you can run Rovals in this game. I'm just choosing not to. And basically because I built a good setup for this sim and wanted to do a full distance race in it. 16 psi. Do some practice laps beforehand.
A whole 16 psi. Jesus, how stiff were the sidewalls on those areas good years, or is that a sim specific thing?
I think it's sim specific.
Unfortunate.
So Jimmy Johnson won this thing in real life. Casey Kane led most of it in the blue Mopar car, which I have a diecast of, and I think he walled it at some point. I was a big fan of Casey Kane back in the day. I have a ton
I
of his
mean, he was he
diecasts.
was he was a hot prospect. He's one of those big what ifs in
Yeah.
NASCAR history.
He was Kyle Larson, but before Kyle Larson was Kyle Larson. He was supposed to set the world on fire.
As
Um,
opposed to Tony Stewart, who was like, "Who is
yeah,
this bitch ass IndyCar driver
yeah,
that probably sucks?"
yeah,
And then he was like, "Just he's a prodigy. He
yeah.
can drive anything.
Yeah,
It's
Tony
ridiculous."
Stewart was really the original Kyle Larson. Won everything there is to win on dirt. Um, then went to the Indy Racing League, which admittedly did not have the highest caliber of drivers compared to kart, but he still won the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Transitioned to stock cars, and by 2002 won a championship in that as well.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he's just flat out good.
Yeah. Kane was supposed to be on pace for that. He had a really good showing in 04, which is the car set we're running. What ended up happening is basically he came second in like the first 3 or 4 races of the season,
Yeah.
and then lost a couple of nail biters where he junked the car by hitting oil. Like, it was a crazy rookie season for him. He won a bunch in 05, but was inconsistent, and then by that time, Ray Evernham and Aaron Crocker's affair basically was starting to blow up the team, so there goes his career. And he never really recovered after that. Like, the first few years at Dodge were really his shot at the championship, and it instead ended up being Mayfield who flew the Dodge flag into the 04 playoffs.
Good driver, right
Yeah.
team, wrong time.
Yeah.
Just like bad timing.
That happens to so many careers here. So yeah, as I stated before, I'm using the 04 car set. It's a little more fleshed out. Um, I've actually went through the effort of making sure like all the liveries that ran at Charlotte in the fall have been selected within reason, because it's not as easy as Thunder 04 where you can just cross out the guy's name and put a new name in, and suddenly, bam, Dave Blaney's in the 99, because I think he was supposed to be for this race. But it's within reason, basically all the car numbers that ran this race and most of the liveries. God, there are some shitters in this race. There's like Kevin LePage, Greg Sachs, and like blank cars. The 14 was driven by John Andretti, but I think Larry Foyt's in it in this car set. But yeah, it's it's quite the diverse set of drivers. Anyway, let's go qualify. I'll put some gear into it because I don't want to blow it up in queue. Embarrass myself. Anyway, no outlap. It's a Simcade. think Kane qualified on the pole for this race, or was it Newman with a 28.5? We are driving as the eventual winner, Jimmy Johnson. Haven't done a fuel readout. Probably should.
2004 UAW-GM Quality 500.
Newman's on the pole. Kane's outside.
Yep, Newman was on pole with a 28.590, and this is that race famously where Casey Kane led like 207 laps of it to find an oil slick, and I think it was Waltrip basically had a meltdown in the booth. He felt so fucking bad for Kane because this was like his third or fourth time he'd led almost an entire race and didn't win it because of a mechanical or an oil slick or a tire failure, and it wasn't even his own fault.
Yeah. So the same thing happened at Dover earlier in the season too. His first career win would have been the first Dover race on D-Day, I think it was, and nope, just in the wall. So we're on pole with a 28.1. What's crazy is the lap times are pretty accurate. P2 is a 28.5. Just going to car setup here, tweak some gear ratios. Don't want to blow this fucking thing up. It's a risk in this game. Anyway, let's go race. This game had the pre-race intros too, so they do like a flyover of the track. They like pan around some of the cars. The intros don't always match, but it is what it is. It's a cool year for car liveries. One of the final years that like pretty much every team had a full-time sponsor. Hey, there's us. .184, so we're pretty quick compared to the pole time. Yeah, the audio's wrong, so if you can hear the audio in the background, it's probably saying a completely different driver, but at least it's got the name right on the UI. Brian Vickers going to roll off 16th. That's cool. All the retro liveries look sweet from the RCR cars. That's awesome. Race will take us about 2.4 hours, so no different than running like an endurance race in AMS2. Oh wow, look at this. Casey Kane is on the outside pole just as he was in real life. That's awesome. I love that shit. Anyway. Cars are rolling off, doing the pre-race starting grid flyover. Kane with a 28.490. Mayfield and Dale Jr. row 2. And again, that's basically the qualifying times they ran back then. It's cool.
I love Jeremy Methfield. He's my favorite.
I don't think he did meth. I definitely buy the ADHD thing. Have you ever met someone with like severe adult ADHD? They talk and sound exactly like Mayfield. And the meme about people with ADHD microdosing meth is basically true.
Oh yeah, because that's what.
Yeah. Small doses of amphetamines actually slow their brain down and make it...
Well, isn't that what Ritalin is for ADHD? I don't know. I probably should stay in my lane with that shit. I don't know. I'm not a physician. I'm sorry.
No, my, one of my really good chick friends has, like, severe ADHD, and that itself is a massive rabbit hole, but I could tell when she was off her meds and just be like, oh, you know? It's pretty intense. It was like, yeah, you do need medication. This is wild. Not that it was a bad thing, but... the way she described it and some of the professional issues she ran into, it was just like, oh, that makes sense why Mayfield would, like, need that then. It's a really tight field. Lots of people in the 28s. Anyway, that's top 20. Let's go. .334 laps around Charlotte. Never going to want to see this track again. Using 180 rotation, so the steering's a little touchy, but I don't really mind that feeling. It's how I used to race on iRacing for the longest time, too. Really tight steering box.
remember anecdotally, back when I used to still be racing Legends cars, one time Mr. Brockhouse, Tim Brockhouse of Legends Cars fame, decided that what I really needed to get a little bit faster was to emulate his driving position from dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was doing the road course style, 5 and 9, which I obviously still do and recommend all my students do. And I like to have a 90-degree bent in my elbows.
Mm-hmm.
And so he welded like a steering column extension on my car that was like 3 inches longer to, get it way close to my chest like the dirt racers like. And I went like a second and a half a lap slower at Elko Speedway because I couldn't actually hold the wheel.
Oops.
And my mom had like a total bitch fit out of it. It was pretty funny. Good times.
Burning about 0.3 gallons per lap. It's not bad. 66 laps till we've hit. And the nice thing about this game is it skips the caution laps. It just shows like a TV cam replay of it and then skips ahead 2 or 3. So if there's yellows, the race goes quicker instead of longer.
This guy pits.
Because the car's so loose, I do wonder how tire wear is going to be, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The other reason I think people are opting to model or mod Thunder 04 instead of chase for the Cup 05. Thunder 04 is a little bit more of a sim regarding like the tiniest of things, like the fuel gauge readout is digital instead of analog, so you can actually figure out exactly when you need to pit and aren't just like eyeballing it. Dumb shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
Riding the third right now. Saving a little bit of fuel in the draft. The draft in this game and the dirty air is both really strong.
Well, it was an era too, right? We're talking about end of Twisted Sister kind of era. So.
Yeah. Went for the lead. Yeah, sometimes you just lose the nose in this game, which is interesting too. I gotta run here. And with the opponent manager tool, you can also adjust the individual AI strength at each track, so I turned it from 85 to 100 here. So they're actually putting up a bit of a better fight than they normally would. Fucked on the bottom, nice. There we go. That is the lead. Well, what did you get up to this week?
Let's see. Sunday was the last round of the Minnesota State Autocross Championship hosted by Minnesota Autosports Club. I had to win it to win my class championship for the state for the year in H Street, Hatchback Street, and I did. So I'm state champion this year in my car class.
It's good.
They use rather controversial, well, I shouldn't say super controversial, but kind of debated how accurate it is, performance formula called PAX that gets calculated based on cars' relative performance at the solo nationals, which is like, the SCCA for their national championship. They do a winner-take-all race every year for all the classes. And so our Driver of the Year awards are based on that formula. And for the year, this is in my showroom stock Hyundai with no mods other than a rear anti-roll bar that I only put on at the last round and my showroom street tires. So I don't have my allowed 200 treadwear sticky autocross tires. My highest performance was a 94 score, so 6% off being fastest of the day at the very last round of the year. And I finished like 40th to 50th of like 350 drivers for the year. So I'm curious to see what happens if I get tires on that car next year.
That's the Hyundai Elantra sedan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might accidentally have found a Metacar, which is really, really funny.
I think that'd be super funny because that wasn't the intention. I just bought it because it was affordable. And now it might be a really fast time trial and autocross car if I class it right.
Well, the other thing is, too, maybe the car itself is kind of shit, but you're just that good of a driver that it's going to put, people onto a false lead, which can happen. Happens in racing sims.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was told tires on autocross are anywhere between a second to 3 seconds a run. So I'm thinking I'm right in there top 10, doing the math off of how much more I would need to improve off of my pack scores. So I think depending on the length of the run and whether it's the low end or high end, tires should get me between 2 and 6% more performance.
I'm already 8 seconds ahead on Legend. That's not good.
Uh-oh.
I might end up cut this one early, like, fuck. Just go until I lap the field.
yeah, also, today was the awards ceremony for the Motorcycle Track Day Club, and I got most clapped track day bike of the year for my crappy first generation SV650 that I bought for like $1,000.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, old stock suspension, really slow. Carbs need a tune-up. Runs strong though, good compression, good engine. Still running just fine, but definitely very slow. You know, it's stock. It doesn't have a front end swap. It doesn't have a rear racing shock absorber. It doesn't have, front springs.
Yep.
It's got stock pads for the brakes, it's like a 25-year-old bike. It's slow, but it's fun. It's seat time. Seat time is valuable. Are you currently cooking the AI?
It's pretty bad. I'm starting to lap a lot of people. I'm pretty much just gonna go until I lap everybody, because it's gonna happen in this fuel stint. Sucks.
That sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. You revisit a childhood game and you are too fast.
Yeah, it's just the AI in Sims normally isn't the best either. It's just
Yeah.
it's hard, man.
Well, and this is one of the better AI from like all of PS2 games with the Grudges and Alliances thing, but there's a difference between Austin is 12 with an Xbox controller versus Austin's now coming into this with 8 years of short track experience and setup knowledge. Oh, someone blew up in front of me. That would be... don't know. Couldn't tell. On a 30-second track, we are 18 seconds ahead of second place.
Oh my god.
This is get to check out EA's WRC earlier, because I anticipated to be running this whole fucking thing, and that was not the case. Got a tire wear warning, but it's fine. I'm 20 seconds ahead now.
Oh god.
I'm starting to catch the good cars, like Stewart and Nemechek are in front of me. Oh, got the tires worn warning, but oh well. Oh my god, like that's Casey Kane in front of me, who I started by. Uh-oh. Okay, this is promising. Both right sides wore down at the same time, just because of how I'm driving, and it's making the car feel heavier and more like a sim. It's great.
Do you think that you're going to get off sequence with pit stops and they might catch you?
Nope. Because the tires, I got the tires worn, which is like the 50% notification right when I got halfway of fuel. And the worn tires are helping me to be more consistent. Ryan Newman. So Jamie Mack is car 2, or position 2 rather.
Nice.
And he is 25 seconds back, and my quickest lap's at 28. So he's in the cluster of cars ahead of me. Elliott Sadler and Jeff Gordon. And by lap 45, we've gotten through the entire field. We've only dropped off half a second.
That's just plain nasty.
Yeah, that's over. Not even like a sixth of the way into the race, or like a seventh, but it's just done. That's not very fun. Someone retired already, I think. Terry Labonte blew up. Yeah. Well, I guess my next goal for this is learning how to mod the AI. I'll not restart. Disappointing, but yeah, I'll go dick around with that.